Healing at the speed of light. Every year, millions of people around the world depend on painkillers to relieve their pain. Many have therefore also become addicted and or dependent on opioids used to treat pain. According to CDC Wonder source, in the U.S., opioid overdoses deaths rose from 46,802 in 2018 to 49,860 in 2019. The United States government spends billions of dollars every year in an attempt to curb and resolve the opioid crisis, hence to decrease deaths related to opioid overdose. The solution: a group of well-meaning scientists began to research for a permanent solution to pain, which many individuals go through globally. What these scientists discovered in this process was amazing. In the 1960s, the scientific community started to develop what has become today's photobiomodulation therapy, PBMT, to save lives and to reduce the rate of dependency on opioid use and also decrease the mortality rates associated with painkillers and opioid overdoses. What is photobiomodulation? Our senior medical correspondent, Ben Fulter, got the special report. Here's the detail.
Photobiomodulation therapy is a medical treatment that uses focused light to stimulate a process called photobiomodulation, or PBM. During PBM, photons enter the tissue and interact with the cytochrome C complex within mitochondria. This interaction triggers a biological cascade of events that leads to an increase in cellular metabolism, decrease in pain, reduction in muscle spasm, and improved microcirculation to injured tissue. This treatment is FDA cleared and provides patients a non-invasive, non-pharmacological alternative for pain relief.
The president of North America Association for Photobiomodulation Therapy, Dr. Terence L Baker, explains further.
I'm Terence Baker, a physician, family physician here in Baltimore, Maryland, and we're talking about the use of photobiomodulation, a new science that is the application of light to treat medical conditions. As a family practice physician, we use light most days in our office to help our patients get well and treat a variety of medical conditions, and we've talked about a few of those. More recently, I have been since 2000 using medical therapeutic light in my practice to heal a number of conditions that really didn't have good solutions. For example, we started with wounds that didn't want to heal: pressure ulcers, vascular ulcers, post-surgical ulcers, other skin conditions that simply didn't want to heal. But when you applied red light wavelengths, blue light wavelengths, near-infrared wavelengths, we began to see results that we've never seen before. But also it's important to know that medical therapeutic light, that is photobiomodulation, is being used around the world in many different ways. For example, the NASA space program has been using photobiomodulation to treat and heal astronauts in space.
Photobiomodulation therapy remains an evolving aspect of medicine. Time to time, scientists and researchers discover many uses of photobiomodulation, PMB, in almost every aspect of life.
A lot of people have now gone into the area of using light to kill bacteria, to kill viruses, to prevent pandemic diseases, and so on and so forth. And we have been at the forefront of that. Some of our most recent papers now have shown that indeed you can kill a variety of bacteria, gram-positive bacteria, gram-negative bacteria with light. We are now beginning to see that we can also kill coronaviruses with blue light. So the field is wide open as far as the technology is concerned. The beautiful thing about PBM is this. PBM is high-tech. We're talking about using photonic energy, the energy of light, to heal the body and to cure diseases. It's high-tech, but guess what? It is not high-tech that is very expensive like most high technology. It is high-tech that is relatively inexpensive. We do not know of any side effects that it produces, unlike chemical agents or pharmaceuticals, which are prone to a lot of side effects. It is relatively inexpensive, no known side effects, and highly effective. So all of these give it the advantage that most treatment procedures do not have.
One of the biggest landmarks for our field has been the acceptance of oral mucositis post-cancer treatments as a mainstream photobiomodulation application. And this has really moved our field into what I would consider mainstream medicine, because now we can assist our oncology and our cancer radiation biologists to treat their patients much more effectively, much more comfortably, and in many cases enable their cancer treatments to be completed, which allows them the best chance of fighting the disease.
We all know that microorganisms have been a challenge to the healthcare sector for decades now, as a result of a lot of abuse of antibiotics. And sometimes the antibiotics that are applied do not really work. And the reason being that these antibiotics are very specific, so they attack or they would target specific proteins in the cell. And peradventure, something happens to the microorganism that curtails one section of the pathway, they would develop alternative pathways to evade antibiotics. Now, we have been working with blue light therapy for about the past, I in particular, for about 10 years or more. And we have shown that it is a viable tool for inactivating microorganisms, be it fungi, viruses, and bacteria. We've even shown in our work that methicillin-resistant staph, otherwise known as MRSA, is a big problem and has been, not been able to be treated with commonly available antibiotics. Now, we have shown that blue light can actually inactivate MRSA and in very low doses.
Here in our research lab, we have tested over 50 subjects, creating a bruise on the anterior thigh or the quadricep. And we are testing red and blue light to see if we are getting them to recover more quickly. What excites me about this project and what's been very interesting first is simply the use of light. When I talk to people about the use of light, we certainly, all of us in the field, understand the efficacy, we understand the history. And so it's been fun to be able to explain to my colleagues some of the opportunities. And we actually have some other colleagues that are doing some research as well. What I really enjoy about my study is that we are, again, looking at musculoskeletal trauma, which is something a little bit more unique.
While we are thinking about mainstream medicine, we know that a tool that can do so many different treatments is going to have a major impact on public health. We know that for a fact.
Tiny light emitting diode, LED, chips used to grow plants in space are lighting the way for cancer treatment, wound healing, and chronic pain alleviation globally. The red LEDs are capable of activating light-sensitive, tumor-treating drugs that, when injected intravenously, could completely destroy cancer cells while leaving surrounding tissue virtually untouched.
And new developments continue to improve quality of lives, even as patients are being treated. Rick Dayton, laser light therapy is now helping cancer patients who are undergoing chemotherapy.
Dr. David Klump is an MD who also has a PhD. He's very excited about how doctors and nurses in Pittsburgh have been treating a major side effect suffered by cancer patients.
We've been using a different spectrum of radiation, that within the visible light spectrum, to try to help heal sores.
It is called photobiomodulation, a form of laser light therapy. Teams at UPMC Shadyside Hospital use it to treat mouth sores that are often a side effect of chemotherapy. The sores, called oral mucositis.
The effect of photobiomodulation, PBM therapy, previously known as low-level laser therapy, LLLT, on oral mucositis by laser or LED, has been reported in 47 randomized, controlled clinical trials. Ben Folter got the special report.
A study from 2009, published in Behavioral and Brain Functions, described great success with a form of PBM against major depression and anxiety. Another 2018 review in the Journal of Affective Disorders also found PBM to be effective in treating major depressive disorder.
Where do you see the future of light in terms of musculoskeletal injuries, recovery, regeneration? Where do you see the future of photobiomodulation? That is the use of light therapy as part of the treatment or healing process. Where do you foresee the future as being?
Yeah, I think we're just kind of on the tip of really getting this going in athletics, and but there's a lot that we need to learn. We need to learn, how we treat different muscle areas. Do we look at treating the whole muscle? Do we look at treating the whole body? Do we look at treating certain points? Do we treat it at? We noticed that there's importance in treating it beforehand, but if we're looking at this from a overall aspect, do we look at treating it with different wavelengths at different time points during the treatment? There are so many things that we can continue to do and continue to help enhance the wonderful research that we already have to show that there's some great benefit. So I think there's a lot of areas to really establish that photobiomodulation does work, but a lot of areas that we can continue to improve. And then looking at that, continuing to improve for the recreational athlete and what that really means for them, especially over the lifetime, that a lot of the research currently has been focused on athletes and the younger athlete, but what do we do to help those athletes over a lifetime maintain a quality of health through athletics?
James Carroll, the founder and CEO of Thor Photomedicine, was at the United States Congress to speak to lawmakers about the importance and impact of photobiomodulation in society.
Chairman, members of Congress, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having us. James Carroll, I'm CEO and founder of Thor Photomedicine. 100 million adults in the United States are affected by chronic pain. $600 billion a year are spent on direct healthcare costs and lost productivity because of pain, according to the American Pain Society. Deaths from opioids, we all know it's a very big number, 49,000 people in 2017, 19,000 of which were prescribed opioids for pain relief. So we believe that photobiomodulation therapy can help reduce the prescribing of opioid medication for pain relief. We wish to draw attention to Congress and healthcare policymakers, NIH and CMS, about this potentially very valuable tool. My last word on this is it's not just another form of pain relief. This therapy actually helps people heal.
In 2015, photobiomodulation therapy, PBMT, was added to the National Library of Medicine, MESH, database as an entry term to the existing record of laser therapy, low level. In summary, PBM and PBMT are accurate and specific terms for this effective and important therapeutic application of light. How does the other healthcare industry, especially the pharmaceutical companies, embrace photobiomodulation, PMB? According to Chris J. Castell, CEO of Careware and member board of directors of North America Photobiomodulation Association, NAALT, he said,
and that really gets down to the situation where we're looking at the joint conference. What's its key element? Taking photobiomodulation to mainstream medicine, right? How do we integrate? How do we use these technologies as another tool in the toolbox? When is it effective, and when is it not likely to be effective? And what other adjunctive therapies do we want to be using in combination with it? And I think if we approach it on that basis, we're going to have a lot more likelihood of success, and it's not going to be threatening to people, to be able to think, oh, well, they're just going to replace this or that, so I'm going to ignore it. Okay, I think we need to think of more, how do you use the synergies and, get an improved outcome for the patients? It's really, in the end of the day, it's faster healing, lower costs, and lack of recidivism back to higher care costs. Right? In other words, you go out of the hospital, you go home as soon as you can, and you stay home. That's the lowest cost model in healthcare, right?
Yeah.
So how do we take different technologies, and this is one of them, that there are other technologies that we can use. And one of the big areas that we're going to see growing, I think, enormously is telehealth, because it gives you remote access with experts. So you combine telehealth with digital health, i.e. monitoring, therapies that can be monitored in combination with modalities like photobiomodulation and others. Now you start to see a new paradigm where maybe the patient can come in not as often if they need longer term treatment. They can visit very conveniently with the caregiver who's taking care of them, and they can use a product at home that maybe is helping that situation, and that at the same time the caregiver can know that it's being used and it's being used effectively. Of technologies as enablers to really reducing the cost of healthcare. And that's the digital transformation that maybe one of the things that COVID-19 has brought to the table is it's forced us to think in new ways about the caregiving algorithms, of care. So I really see a futuristic basis. And as patients want more and more therapies that have less side effects. And, this is another, big area that I think people are looking at in demand. So.
Photobiomodulation therapy, PMB, has found its way to the continent of Africa, home to 1.4 billion people. Modesta Vasander, the chief executive officer of Katani Hospital, a privately owned hospital in Nairobi, Kenya, disclosed that photobiomodulation therapy is well received in Africa.
What do you see the future for photobiomodulation, not only at your hospital, but for other hospitals throughout Kenya and Africa in general? Do you see a role, now that you've been using it for a couple of years, do you see a role in medicine in general?
Photobiomodulation is going to play a big role in the coming future. The Africans are getting educated, or they're educated about different modalities of treatment, and they're embracing this treatment very much. I do know that it's affordable. That's one. Two is that it's there. It has no side effects, or very little side effects, if any. Three, some people who don't like taking medications can turn to this treatment and be able to be treated. And four is that it's available throughout. So there's no time you can come in and find that they have run out. So it's really a very good treatment. And I think that the African countries are embracing it. And I also think that a lot of doctors are actually learning about it. Schools are now starting to teach, the students about light therapy, laser therapy. And because of this, I think that in the near future, this will be widely used in different parts of Africa. Katani Hospital was so proud to embrace this photobiomodulation, light therapy. It has done well since we started using it. We use it for different ailments. Patients who've come in and have not wanted to take medications or have not been able to afford medications have really embraced this treatment and have done very well. So Katani Hospital has been very impressed at the outcomes, but we use this therapy mainly to treat different infections. We use it to treat different kinds of pain that has not been treated with medications. Patients who've come in and have not wanted to take medications or have not been able to afford medications have really embraced this treatment and have done very well.
Let there be light, and there was light. Light everywhere, solving problems for humanity. Until next time, when we bring you to another exciting episode of Photobiomodulation, PMBT, thanks to our production crew, our executive producer, Moses Adedij, and our associate producer, Karen Ejiofor. My name is Joshua Freeborn. Thanks for watching.
NABN TV, inspiring a new generation.